At the beginning, 20 years ago, we really felt that there is a need to build bridges. Maybe it's strange, but we don't need bridges because we just need to show the people that there are no depth in there. We just sharing the same ground.
Welcome to Something in the Water, a podcast about Budapest's Jewish community through interviews with the individuals who shape it. Thank you for being here. We are recording on Thursday, November 20th, 2025. Today, I'm welcoming to the show András Borgula. I was told about András before I even arrived to Budapest by someone who knows this city and this community very well. András is the founder and creative director of Golem Theatre, a Jewish theater in Hungary. We'll talk about what that means. But other than that, I don't know how to introduce someone who's so involved in Jewish Budapest and Budapest. So, András, I want to ask you to tell us how you want to start us off. What do you want us to first know? And then we'll go from there.
Well, thank you for the invitation, first of all. I have to say here at the beginning that I learned English in Israel, so I speak like Tarzan, but at least all of you will understand me. So yes, you know, I'm local. I was born here 50 years ago, which is a long time, and I lived almost all my life, other than these 8 years in Israel, here in Budapest, almost in every part of the city. And it's a big city, 2 million people, 23 districts, so it's huge. And that's what makes me, a Budapestian, if you can say that. And yes, the minute you start to deal with culture and art, it definitely, well, I don't know if it pulls you down or lifts you up, but it puts you in a place that feeds you with the feelings of the city, of the creators of the city. So yes, and I'm really proud of it. The city, I think it's one of the greatest cities I ever been, and I've been all around, definitely in Europe, but even above. I like and I quote a friend of mine from Bucharest, that Budapest is the New York of Eastern Europe. So yeah, I kind of like it.
Okay, so you have strong ties to this city and this community. Why don't you tell us about your ties to the Jewish community and how that started? We know that in this community, people often find out that they're Jewish later in life, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be immediately hooked to the community. What is that like for you?
Yeah, well, that's one of the milestones in my life. I'm a third generation Jew here in Budapest, and I was born in 1975. When the year they found all kind of different big factories in Hungary, so it was socialist time, of course, behind the Iron Curtain. And when I was born, we were an average Hungarian family, lived an average life. I have 2 brothers and a sister, and we didn't think that we have anything, I don't know, what, I shouldn't say special, but something different than the larger community or the larger society. And in 1989, when the Iron Curtain fell and the Berlin Wall was demolished and the borders of Hungary were reopened for the Westerner travelers, maybe 2 weeks after that happened, I spent a weekend at my grandma's house, and someone had a very strange accent and looked for someone I never heard of. This guy on the phone looked for his brother, older brother, and his name was Chaim. And, well, when I picked up the phone, and I told her right away that this is probably the wrong number because there's no Chaim in this family, and I never heard such a name before. And he probably heard my voice, and he said, okay, what was your grandfather at home? And I said, no, Chaim, definitely not my grandfather, because my grandfather died a decade ago in 1979, and then his name was Henrik. And he said, oh, okay, I know only 2 things about my lost brother, that he changed his name and he died a decade ago. So maybe your grandmother at home. And I said, yeah, I can call her. And he goes, okay, then is her name Malka? I said, Malka? Again, this is not a Hungarian name. So now my grandmother name is Mami, for sure. Maybe Elizabeth, but definitely not Malka. And while I'm having this strange conversation, Grandma walks into the room, goes completely white, almost fainting, lowering her voice, whispering to me, who is this and what does he want? And I go, I don't know, some crazy guy looking for Chaim and Malka. What kind of strange names these? And she goes, no, listen to me carefully. You ask this man, who is he and what does he want? Because last time somebody was looking for Chaim and Malka, they took everybody and almost no one came back. And that was a moment of heavy silence, as we call it in the theater. With all these questions in my eyes, what do you mean? Who took who and why didn't never came back, or what's going on? And in her eyes, this deep fear and sorrow. And then we would probably still stand there after, 35 years, if this guy on the phone wouldn't shouting really loud that it's Malka, I can recognize her voice, give her the phone. So I gave her the phone. They spoke 45 minutes, and when they closed it, I asked Grandma, who was this crazy guy? And she said, no, it's not a crazy person. It's actually your grandfather's youngest brother, out of 8 brothers. I never heard about the 8 brothers. Out of 8 brothers. And in 1946, he went to Israel. Since then, he lives in Israel. And this is the first time he could visit. So he came back and he was looking for us. And I said, how come we have relatives in Israel? And she goes, because we're Jewish and the lunch is ready. Come to the kitchen. And she left. She went to the kitchen and we were like, me and my brother were standing there like, what? What does it mean, Jewish? Did you ever hear this word? No Brit, no Bar Mitzvah, no any kind of holiday. We did celebrate Christmas. The fact is that on the top of the tree, we always had the Red Star and we were singing some partisan songs. So I thought it's kind of a, communist celebration that we kicked, or the Russian kicked the Germans out of Hungary, and somehow we're celebrating this and handing out presents. So no religious content at all. At that moment, I was 14, and that was a moment when I got to know that we're Jewish. And that's really changed my life, but not right away. I mean, I understand really fast that it's not something easy to explain. It's not something that, it's not good or bad, but definitely something problematic. Because I remember my mom came to pick us up that day, later in the afternoon, and she walks up in the stairways, and I'm running towards her and then shouting down, through 2 or 3 floors, that, Mom, I have a story. We just found out that we're Jewish. And she also goes completely white, almost fainting, and shouting upstairs, go back to the apartment and stop shouting. The neighbors don't need to hear your nonsense. You're talking nonsense. And I'm like, okay, I thought it's just some news, some interesting news. So in Hungary, I think it wasn't a surprise for anyone other than me. And even the day after, the next day I went to the school. It was the first year of my high school years. And I told to my classmates, listen, during this weekend, I have a crazy story. We found out we were Jews. And half of the class went, oh my God, why are you so happy about it or proud? But the other half said, okay, they'll come over and have Hanukkah together. And I said, if you tell me what is Hanukkah, when is Hanukkah, how to celebrate, I will come over and be happy to come and play with you guys. So all this told me that this is not something that easy to explain. And I did nothing with it, actually. So I never went, even though I got to know the fact, and later on, we found out that why we visiting Grandpa in the other cemetery, not the cemetery that other people would go, because this is the Jewish cemetery, and who are the people who never came back, and who are the sister of my grandmother who died in Auschwitz, and why my grandmother's sister has a tattooed a number. So all these kind of things, which are really an Eastern European heritage of the 20th century, revealed for the 3rd generation to my brothers and my sister, But again, we had completely different reaction for that. So I didn't do anything with it. So I just kept on my average Hungarian life.
And today your life is not so average Hungarian life. So at what point did you know what it meant to be Jewish and start to feel like you could be identify as part of that?
As an artist, I should answer this that I'm still looking for the answer. What does it mean to be Jewish? I can tell you my way to be Jewish, but definitely there, as I hope, as it agreed throughout the community, that there are many ways to be Jewish. Religion is one, and there are so many other ways. I think the other turning point was when one of my friends told me, that was 95, that he's thinking on doing an aliyah to move to Israel. And this can be done here in Hungary, but maybe I could escort him in an office called the Sochnut. They're probably all Jews. Worse than that, they're more or is all Israelis. So we should go together. I said, oh, well, I have time. I'll go with you. He went into an office. I was waiting for him. And from a different office came out a guy and he looked at me. I had not as much hair than you have right now, but even more blonde hair and this kind of blue eyes. So I look everything but not
Israeli.
Not an Israeli at all. And he goes, okay, what do you do? And I said, I'm escorting a friend. He said, are you Jewish? I said, well, I can answer that question now, but if you have, one level deeper, then I just don't have answer. He said, okay, but you have papers that you're just, yeah, now I can show you that my grandma's birth name was Malka, and her daughter is my mother. So yes, even halachically, according to the Jewish law, I'm Jewish, even though without all the necessary things that happens after the birth. And he goes, okay, come into my office. And I went in and he says, listen, with your look, with this blonde hair and blue eyes in Israel, all the girls will go crazy over you. And I said, really? And suddenly, after 4 or 5 years of people trying to explain to me what to be Jewish means, if it's a religion, if it's a heritage, if it's a tribe, if it's a culture, it was always so foggy. But at that moment, when he said that there is a country, well, girls waiting for me just because I'm Jewish, it was a moment when the cloud, leaves the sky and the sun shines right at you. And I said, yes. So then I want to be Jewish. Where to sign? And he said, here. So I signed. This is the first time when I went to Israel. It was my aliyah in 95, the 31st of July, one day after my birthday. And this probably is the beginning of the change of my identity. I felt really fast at home in Israel. And in 95, Israel was completely different, even though it's not that far. It's only 30 years, and it's like a blink of an eye in Jewish history. But it was, again, so much more naive, definitely cheaper, and I was received really well. I felt really, really good at home, and I became really motivated to become a Jew. So my Jewish identity was formed in Israel, and that's also makes a difference when you come back from Israel now as a Jew or as someone who considered as a Jew and trying to be Jew in Eastern Europe, because that's the two things is completely different. I stayed 8 years in Israel. I did the army and I went to the university, and I think I can say it wasn't easy even back then, but I enjoyed every minute of it.
Nice. Were you in touch with your great uncle?
Oh, that's such a beautiful story. So they were old, of course. They all Holocaust survivors, surviving Auschwitz, except my grandfather, who was hiding throughout the war here in the Second World War, here in Budapest, I mean. So I went to Israel, and I know so little about my grandparents. My grandmother I hardly know my grandfather because he passed away when I was 4. And my grandmother wasn't really talkative about their past. I loved her so much, so deeply. She's dead now more than 30 years, and I keep dreaming about her and with her serving food and talk to me and stuff like that, which is really crazy. But when I went to Israel and I visited my great uncle, he said, listen, I have to take you somewhere. And so we got into a car, we went to the Krayot, which is part of, let's say northern Haifa, and we were knocking on a door, and he said, listen, whatever happens, just take it easy, okay? Just, go with it. And I said, okay, all right. So we're knocking, an old guy opens the door. Old guy is, a little bit older than me now. And he stops, he looks at me, and he starts crying. And then he, make one step toward me and hugging me and crying over my shoulder. And he goes, Chaim, Chaim, Chaim. So I understood that I'm reminding him of my grandfather. And he says, okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't prepared for this. It was too emotional. Come in. The truth is that your grandfather was my madrich in HaShomer HaTzair before the one. I said, what are all these words? What do you mean? What does it mean, madrich? And what is it, Shomer HaTzair? Turns out that my grandfather was really active in the community, was a madrich in the community, a leader in the community. And he said, listen, the last time I saw him, we were like, we said goodbye to each other during the siege of Budapest. And I couldn't get in touch with him anymore. And look at here, it was in 45 and now it's 95, 50 years after what happened, and you're here. And so it was really crazy. So I visited them a lot, and I'm still in contact with the grandkids and with the Sunday Still Alive. Of course, Lotzi and Magda, they were the older generation, my grandparents' generation. They passed away, but it was, again, just like to found another family, another really warm and welcoming family. When you meet the first 10 Jewish people around you and they said, we're Jewish, and they all kind, it kind of sticks with you. Again, for us, I was something completely different. They found something that they lost. And this is how I interpreted all these sorts of events which happened with me in Israel and with them. Nice. So it was really, really something special for me.
You probably made them feel at home as much as they made you feel at home in Israel.
Yeah, I hope.
Did you ever talk to them or your grandparents about why some family after the war stayed in Hungary and some moved to Israel?
No. I'm so sad about this. And I couldn't talk with my grandmother because she also passed away really fast after I grew up. Mm-hmm. And for them, it was a taboo. They didn't talk about themselves, neither of the died siblings. We found out that my grandfather and my great uncle had 6 sisters died in Auschwitz, all of them. All the girls died in Auschwitz. All the boys, they were 2, and then 6 others, so they were 8 boys. They survived, all of them. 2 of them went to Israel, some died in Hungary, 1 went to the States. So slowly we found out about the people who are living, but all who died and how and when and the things around it, they weren't able to talk about it.
You joined the IDF in Israel, and went to university in Israel, and then made a decision to come back here and be a Jew in Eastern Europe. I mean, you say you found your Jewish identity when you were in Israel, but you still felt there was something more. Like, tell us what you found in Israel that still inspired you to move back.
Well, you said I joined the IDF. To be completely honest, and when I was in the Sochnut, they told me that if you do Aliyah in your age, you will have to do it. But again, this sentence about the army was told to me after the sentence about the girls and kisses and stuff. So it was all foggy, whatever discussion we had, because I saw only the long line of Israeli girls waiting for me at the airport.
19-year-old boys are so bad.
Yes, it's really maybe the worst time. But actually, I went into the army and I joined the army, and I was, again, so motivated that I became an officer in the army, a first lieutenant in the army. But once I finished the army, actually, I knew that I will learn theater directing. I was still visiting Hungary from time to time, my brothers and sisters and parents. And at some point, I met someone here in Budapest, which is always, the same story. And she moved with me to Israel. The first couple of years, she kind of couldn't find herself in Israel, and it's not that easy, really. And when I finished my BA, she said, "Listen, what would you say if we start our shared life maybe in Budapest?" And I said, "Listen, that's wherever I can be useful. Still, it's my mother tongue. I was raised here. I love the city." So we moved back and we started our life here. That's why I came back to Hungary. It wasn't a decision of, I don't know, identity decision. It was just to be together with her. And at the point when we never got married, but when we separated, that's the word, I already had the theater running, and I said, okay, until I find myself useful and I find that the community can use me and I can be sort of an ambassador of Israeli culture here in Budapest, I'll stay, because I got so much from Israel. Maybe I can give back a little here throughout the community, and not only for the Jewish community, to be honest. As an artist, you want to talk to the whole world. So yes, this is why I came back, and it still keep me running.
Okay, cool. You still feel like you can serve the people here?
Yes, and again, if the community would say, okay, we're done here, we all move from here, and this is the decision of the community, and all these, 60, 100,000 Jews will leave the country because it's not good for us anymore, I'll leave. The community is probably on a top shelf. Sometimes I miss that I don't have those kind of roots. But again, it's not far from any Jew to be always on the road.
You're right. In another interview, I listened to you say that in Hungary, you feel more motivated to contribute and build Jewish life here. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I definitely feel more useful. Listen, I have friends in Israel who we went to the university together, and other than one, none of them working in the field of art, definitely not theater. And I so much love to be an artist. I so enjoy it, and I do feel deeply in love with the Jewish culture, because I think it's really beautiful. And then you go deeper and deeper, you find more and more, which I want to share with the people, because in brackets, Jewish culture or Judaism means many times in Eastern Europe, Holocaust. And we have so much more than that. Older stories, beautiful stories, newer stories, and I want just to tell those stories to everyone. Today, at least, I'm running the one and only Jewish theater in Budapest, and this is a big responsibility too. But as one great rabbi said once, with great power comes great responsibility. So yeah, I still enjoy it. Not always easy, but definitely enjoyable.
You literally have a platform to share Jewish stories.
Yes.
And I feel so grateful that we have that in Budapest, that people can come here and learn from you. So I want to talk more about Golem, but first, I've been told that you produced a one-man show about your life, about this story that we're talking about. So I think that your story is very interesting. Clearly, you think your story is a little bit interesting too. Why don't you tell us what it was like to put together a show about your story, what dilemmas you had about your identity?
Wow. Yeah, I'm a story guy. You can see that. And I see my life, I don't know, like a movie. Everything is interesting. At some point, the actors around me told me, listen, it's the way you say it, it's really interesting. Don't you think you should tell other people outside of the theater? I said, nah, maybe it's interesting for you because you know me. Because I thought it's going to be a fun night with funny stories of 50 years. And this also, not only a story of mine, but a story of my generation here in Hungary, because we have similar stories. But when I put it together, I realized that it's not enough to say only the nice things. And when you work in theater, you know that even a good drama, doesn't matter if it's tragedy or comedy, had to have both of the elements. Because if it's only funny, then and you don't put tragedy in it, you get used to the comedy. So I started to, I did this research in my soul and in my heart, and I put all the sad stories, how I lost kids during the pregnancy, how the sad stories from my childhood with my mother and father. Because if it's about me, then I'm not always, even me, not always happy and smiling. I do have my valleys of shadow to walk through, and it became, I think, a nice event, but not as easy as I thought at the beginning. So I'm doing this in the last 2 years. I did around 25 times. It's always motivating, and you feel the energy, and you all running through your veins, and it's almost 2 hours. And once I'm finished, you live your life through with all the happiness and all the sadness in it. So I love it. I love it. And people are enjoying it. 99 people can fit into our hall. So it's luckily it runs with full houses. And when you receive the energy of 99 people, it helps you go through. I'm not visiting a therapist. So that's kind of a therapy for me.
It totally sounds like it. Yeah. It's so brave to share that with who knows who walks through the door.
Exactly. Perfect point, because when my mom came to listen to me and I was telling about my sort of lonely childhood, after that night she was like, oh my God. And some of my friends, when they came, said, listen, we were laughing, but we also felt that the point where we were crying with you. So yeah, it's sort of therapy, which we all need. I truly believe.
Oh, I'm a regular. When you decided to do this show, it was just people saying your story's interesting. Why not share it? Now that you've done 25 shows, is there a different meaning that you've realized has come from this for yourself or for the community?
Yes, I think, and I never planned to be motivational, but it definitely became sort of a motivational speech because it's a success story. And I think we all definitely in Eastern Europe, we do need success stories. And when I finish and I'm receiving emails after the show that, listen, these 2 hours changed the way I think about my life and about what to do with my Jewish heritage and about my Jewish roots. And thank you very much. Yes, it helped me, go through again and again. Of course, I do it because of my ego, because it's really nice, be alone on the stage, talking to 100 people, they all listening to you. But it's hard at the same time. But when you receive these letters, you go, okay, this is why you're doing for the theater, to make the people think. And if it's changed their life, I'm happy to be part of this change or the initiator or whatever my part of this in this.
Amazing. So tell us about the theater, the name, why you founded it when you did, and we'll start there.
Okay, so I came back from Israel 2003, 8 years after my Aliyah. So I said, okay, then maybe the Jewish theater. So I started to search the net, and I found out that there is no Jewish theater in Hungary, which is crazy. When we talk about the largest community in Eastern Europe, and we do have kindergartens, schools, high schools, even Jewish university or the Seminar of Rabbinical Studies. We have many high schools, so we keep investing, and it's really good to our future. And we have more than 3,000 Jewish cemeteries here in Hungary. So we deal with our past and with our future. But as an Eastern European Jew, it's so typical. There's one thing in between our present, our life, which we like. Which is like not happening. And theater, it's an overused sentence, is an art of here and now. Whatever story you listen to, even if it's about a Danish prince in the Middle Ages called Hamlet, it's about you and it's about your country and it's about your dilemmas and decisions and your conflicts. So I said, okay, there's a problem in the Hungarian Jewish community, and one of the cure could be the Jewish theater. And I love to do theater, and this is my specialty actually, the Jewish theater, because I learned in Israel, Jewish and Israel theater. Let's try to do this. And this is how I formed, with 9 of my friends, we went to the Budapest courthouse, then we had to fill out a form, and we became the Golem Theatre Association. It's an NGO without any help of the big players at the beginning, neither the Federation or the JDC or the Chabad or whatever big movement. Chabad wasn't here at that time. So it was really a completely grassroots initial. But I felt so motivated that this will be good. And Golem, even though it's very connected to Prague, but the golem is the only living creature in the Jewish heritage. Again, the only living creature who was created not by God, but by people. The rabbi of Prague. Cool. Every other living creature was created by the hand of God, and theater, as the way I see it, it's sort of these are life. Which are created by people. And of course, the golem was protecting the community in Prague and helped the leaders, the rabbis of Prague, to protect the community. So I thought this is also part of our mission in the Jewish theater. This is why we chose the name.
Cool. And it's stuck 20 years later.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Golem Theater.
Yes, thank you very much.
What sort of stories are you telling? How Jewish are we talking?
Yes. There is this saying in theater that there are only 5, 6, 7 stories you can tell people. Family, friendship, love, revenge, failure, success. That's it. All the stories can be categorized by these. Doesn't matter if it's from the ancient Greek or you wrote yesterday. It will fit in one of these categories. We have the same stories, but we want to tell you these stories from a different point of view. And I truly believe that there is a Jewish point of view, which means that every production, every play we made has a Jewish core. If it's a relationship drama, then one of the members in the relationship will be Jewish, and there's going to be a problem that you're Jewish in the family, or maybe for the Jew have a problem that you're not Jewish, and it's still about us. So this makes our relationship drama a Jewish relationship drama. If it's a family drama, if we're talking about a family, then it's going to be a Jewish family with the dilemmas of the local Hungarian Jewish family: stay, leave, join the left, join the right, intermarrying, raising the kids in a Jewish way, visiting synagogue, being religious. So it's always about something that really contemporary and really connects us to here and now. Even if we have one production, and I'm so proud of it, and you can still look the internet, because you'll find still the article in the New York Times when they wrote about us.
We'll link it in the
yes,
description.
I can send it to you. We had a premiere maybe 7 or 8 years ago. We made a comedy about what would happen the day after the Jews would disappear. So in that production, we don't have Jews in the play. It's a sketch comedy after we have like 10, 11 sketches, and you see different slices of life the day after. And nobody knows where the Jews went. Okay, if they all went to the moon or they moved to Miami, nobody knows where are they. But you see a world without the Jews. And you see, you see a government meeting. It's definitely the Hungarian government, the discussion, who are going to hate now because the Jews were so good to hate. We have the meetings of the Jewish theater without the Jews, and all kind of funny scenes one after the other. But when you finish and you go home, and this is, I think, what the article also mentions, that you kind of realize I left on something which definitely happened in Hungary 80 years ago, but they turn it to some kind of a farce and a comedy. So even you can talk about the Jewish community even without the Jews this way. So we love the play, and it's still running. After 8 years, we still have full house. It's sold out. Even the next production, it's crazy.
Amazing. I'm guessing that not all of your actors are Jewish. How do you
Correct.
prepare these people to tell a story from a Jewish point of view? Is that something that you think about? Because
You must have, definitely.
lots of us, it's like I can say a Jewish joke, but if a non-Jewish friend says that, it's not cool.
Yes. There are 2 points. One
Okay.
of them that we're not a community theater in a sense that, again, not every members of the theater are Jewish. Actually, don't ask them. To be part of the Jewish theater, there's only one criteria, that you have to be good.
Yeah.
And this is also part of the success. But then you're not necessarily a Jew, as you said. You know, at the beginning when I sent some text, some of the actors, and they were calling me and they told me, listen, I love the play, but I have to tell you that I'm not Jewish. And I used to tell them, listen, you come for the first rehearsal, we cut a little bit from you, I say a few words in Hebrew, and you'll be Jewish the rest of your life. And it was like silence at the other side of the line. And it was, no, I'm joking. No one going to, it's a joke. But when you played Hamlet, you didn't say the director that, oh, it's so great by that I've never been a Danish prince before. I said, oh, yeah, right. And in that moment, they understood that they can act as a Jew because we act exactly the same like others. Just yes, to quote classics, if they stab us, we bleed. If they tickling us, we laugh. So it's the basic things are the same, and the rest you can learn. But that's important. So before every production, we collect everybody. I mean, actors, designers, writers, everybody, and we make a program which we call the Jewinator, and we live a life of a Jew for a week. I take them to the JCC, I take them to the mikveh, we'll visit the synagogue, we visit the Jewish archive, we have discussions with rabbis, we eat Jewish food. So we live again, I'll explain about Shabbat, whatever the need of the production, definitely, so it's always different. But that makes them a little Jewish, at least for a week. And then, exactly as you said, they can say even the word Jew in a completely different way than they used to say it before that event. And it's very important, and it's so successful. You know, it's being Jewish for a week, it's like, I don't know.
It's all the good parts.
Yes, exactly. Only the good parts. So I said, okay, let's do during when you cannot eat for 25 hours. You wanna try this out? And they would go, oh, maybe a different time. So yes, it's only the good parts and the fun parts, and it's also for them. It's such a great event because they see that there is a good part of being Jewish. It's not only the bad stories. It's not always what we lost, but what we have.
I'm surprised no one has converted since
Oh, there are people.
We'll see.
And after that event, there's always, like, when we start the first rehearsal and we start the text, people would come to me and say, listen, I have to tell you that I'm Jewish. I never been any connection. So those Jews who are in the production, suddenly they feel that they can reveal this thing for me. Nice. And sometimes even, you're not converted, but sometimes they would tell me, would you help me what to see in Israel or how to go to Israel and stuff like that. So yes.
That's special. And what about the audience? The audience, I'm also guessing, is a mix of Jews and non-Jews.
Yes. We don't ask at the entrance if you're Jew or not. And we sell tickets to everyone, of course. So it's hard to even guess how many Jews and how many non-Jews are coming to a production. There is a way where we can guess a little bit when there is actually a joke on stage, really, as you said, a Jewish joke. And Jews allow themselves to laugh a little bit faster and maybe harder, because at the beginning, people are just, non-Jews sitting in the audience, they would go, oh, it's funny, but maybe I'm not allowed to laugh. And so we can say that probably fifth or quarter of the audience is coming from the Jewish community. The rest of the people are just, interested, want to see and receive some Jewish culture, and really from a source that
Jewish
is,
voice.
yes, from a Jewish voice. 20 years ago when we started, it felt like a risky business. People would come and say, listen, I don't know, will I understand this? Will I enjoy this? Is it allowed to come as a non-Jew? So it was a long process to tell that, yes, please come and do laugh with us and do cry with us. Again, as I told at the beginning, I'm the third generation. And if we decided to live here in Hungary, we cannot base our identity on victimhood. Yes, we're not forgetting, or let's try to have a happy life together. There are so many other problems with the world that anti-Semitism is supposed to disappear next to those big problems, but we can see that it's not happening. So I'm kind of a doctor who says I need only two things in this world, health and sick people. So yeah, this is the way also with the theater. So until we have one anti-Semite, we still have a job to do. And yes, we do have.
Nice. I feel like, it's easy to imagine Jewish people in the audience seeing themselves in the stories you're presenting. And equally as interesting is that what you're doing is in some way bridging a divide or misunderstanding between Jewish and non-Jewish people here. How much do you think about that in relation to your mission at Golem?
I do think a lot about this because even at the university, they told us your stories have to be at the same time global and local, which means you talk to the specific people in the audience, but these have to be about, big issues, big topics. And at the beginning, 20 years ago, we really felt that there is a need to build bridges. Maybe it's strange, but we don't need bridges because we just need to show the people that there are no depth in there. We're just sharing the same ground. We're really so close to each other. So the only little things that when do you pray, when I pray, if you pray, what do you eat? It's minor little things, very, very important minor things. When you need water, and it's going to be the same need for you as a non-Jew and for me as a Jew, the same thing. People are praying in Tehran now. There's 20 million people living in Tehran, and there is no water. That's going to be our biggest problem. I cannot make water, but I can make people to think about how we're sharing our water.
So maybe more like putting ourselves in each other's shoes than a bridge from one world to another.
And
very interesting.
Theater is the perfect tool for that.
Nice.
Yes.
I understand you also give a platform to a youth theater and other small companies. Yesterday's exhibition opening, the ability for an artist to share her work in your space. Why is it important for you and Golem to also uplift other projects and people?
Well, maybe it's not Spider-Man, but someone other superhero said that if you have power, you should empower others. And that's very important.
Okay.
There is a saying in Eastern Europe that you should take your hot potato out of the fire for yourself. And this is a very selfish sentence, but this is how we were raised. I learned something completely different in Israel. So I always think that it was really hard for us to put together what we did. But now there is a theater. We have a space. We have a stage. Let's try to make the life of the others a little bit easier. Creating is always hard. You always see a picture, you always hear a song, you see a scene, and it's completely different in your imagination. It will not be perfect, but at least what we already have, let's share with others. So if it connects somehow to the Jewish experience, let's call this, then yes. Also with the youth group that we're running, also with other artists, we're trying to give them a stage, whether it's just a wall to put paintings or photos on, whether if it's a real stage to perform on. It also reminds us that we are not alone. We force ourselves to look up and look around and see what around us, and it also helps us, makes us even stronger. Sometimes I truly believe in cooperation, even though it's really hard to cooperate. Definitely when we talk about artists, because we have so great egos that to fit four or three in one space, it's a big task. But yes, let's do it. Let's make things together. It's always much interesting.
You are a radio show host and TV personality. How do you bring in your Jewish stories to that platform, and how does having that platform also contribute to your mission as a Jewish storyteller?
Oh, that's something really funny that happened.
Okay.
It started, I think, 15 years ago. I was called to a TV show to give an opinion about something was said in the Hungarian parliament. I was invited as a theater director, but the answer I gave started with the sentence, "I'm running the Jewish theater, I'm Jew." And this is not something that you hear on the Hungarian national television. And they loved it so much that they keep inviting me back. Not the national television, but there is a TV channel called ATV with this prime time program. It's always about the biggest news of the week. And then you have this discussion of what was important and why. There are like 350 or 400,000 viewers of the show, and I'm a regular guest, which makes you really... Sometimes you see people when I'm sitting on a bus and I see you know the feeling that you feel that someone is watching at you, and you're like, turn your head, and he goes, "I know you. I know you're from the TV." And I say, "Yes, it's me."
You're like, "No, you don't know me from my plays."
yes, come to the theater. Yeah. And there is only one person talks about being a soldier in Israel and bringing this experience.
Okay.
But I keep this in mind always, that when I talk, people hear me as a voice from the community. And sometimes I, of course, make a joke about it, because when I say, "Oh, we Jews thinking this and that," and then, of course, I tell them, "Listen, there is no such a way. There's no such a thing. We have this saying that 2 Jews, 3 opinions. So relax." And also in front of the TV screens, "Oh, you are Jews. You can also relax." I'm not saying that we all think alike. So they like the idea, and they like that I'm not that smart that I would think over my sentences. So whatever I'm asked, I give whatever on my heart, whatever I think, and people like it. And sometimes I like, when I finish these TV shows and I go back to the theater, sometimes the general manager go, "Oh, we're not going to receive any help from the government after what you said again." I said, "Okay, but I'm doing this in the last 10 years. What did I say?" And he said, "Now look at yourself. Or watch this scene. Look how you talked about the prime minister." And I go, "Oh, yes, it's maybe not the most nicest way. Maybe I should think it over." And said, No, you just keep whatever you do, say whatever you have to say." So this is why I'm usually, called for the TV show. And this is exactly how I received my radio show. This is a 1-hour show early in the morning from 7 to 8 when people are, going to school or going to work. And I thought, listen, I will invite people that I think interesting, and we'll have just like a chit chat. But I always bring in that, "Oh, that's nice. In the Jewish tradition, this is different." Or when we talk whatever, it can be food, it can be religion. It's just an easy morning chit chat. But yes, I always, emphasize it that that there are at least one Jew in the discussion.
In the beginning of this conversation, when I asked you when you discovered what it meant to be Jewish, you very respectably said that you are still doing so as an artist. It's a constant journey. How has your journey so far moved to Israel and return, founding this theater, founding a network of Jewish organizations in Hungary, being a voice in general Hungarian society, representing this community? How have all of these things influenced the way you see yourself today as a Jewish person?
Wow. What a good question. When I think about my identity, I definitely feel more Jewish than any time in my life. I felt 20 years ago, more Israeli, and then before that I felt more Hungarian Jew. But I feel deep responsibility for the community. If you ask me how this happened, I have no answer. I just feel that there is, again, whatever happens in Israel or whatever happens with the Jewish community here is really, really important for me. Also important for me, and where when you live in Hungary, you understand that the simple message that you can be a good Jew even without being religious. It's okay. It's completely different for all of us to be involved in Jewish life, because it's in this part of the world, it's not for granted. We're so lucky. I mean, I'm so lucky that someone at some point of my life told me about my Jewish origin. But I would say that there are tens of thousands of Jews here in Hungary who still feel a little bit bad about this, that I'm Jewish, but I'm not going, not keeping. And I definitely feel that they have to be included in the community. And if they have a non-Jewish couple, that we also let's try to pull them also back to the community, because we will enrich the community with them, not losing our identity. Listen, we had our identity thousands of years living in exile, in diaspora, and we still say about ourselves that we're Jews. Don't be afraid. Just show them that there is a good part. Yeah, maybe in one sentence, I'm here to show the good part.
Amazing. For me, food is an important part of identity and culture. So the last question, which I'm going to ask everyone for this Something in the Water, is to tell us a favorite restaurant in Budapest.
Okay, so I have to tell you something. During the pandemic, the theater was closed. So I went to learn to be a chef. I love to cook. The best restaurant, it's a very small place in Klauzar Square, like 5 minutes from the theater. It's called the Kádár. It's recently opened. It was the thing when I was a kid.
Okay.
And they renovated it and they opened it exactly the way it was 40 years ago. The menu is a very simple Hungarian home cooking. You find there everything, of course. And if you're already there, 1 block away from them, there is David's Kitchen, which is a bakery with David is a New York-born Hungarian cook and baker. With an Israeli wife, and their bakery is like something really, really special. So there's everything, luckily everything in my street.
Great recommendations, and we'll talk about your identity as a chef next time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, András.
Thank you.
I moved here in September of last year, 2024, and have been inspired by many amazing people with Jewish stories different than what I knew growing up. I want to share the lessons I've learned from them with you. Each episode will be an interview with a community member, and we will explore how they define, rediscover, and reinvent their Jewish identity.